Hello, my name is Sam, my pronouns are they, them, and welcome back to my office. So today is inspired by Ariel and Raylene from Books Unbound because their most recent podcast episode, I think, it was either this past week or the week before, they did a quarterly check-in on their goals and their reading in general. So I kind of want to talk about everything and check in with myself because I feel like I've been having a really weird reading year so far. So I think right now is a really good time to check in and reevaluate my reading, reevaluate my goals, see if there's anything that I want to change, alter, see if there's anything that doesn't resonate with me anymore, and just like really think about and analyze my reading for the year, because it's so important to sit there and like actively look at yourself and criticize yourself to try and get better. So I definitely want to be looking at like diversity in my reading right now and just whether or not I've been like enjoying my reading, because I feel like the past month there are a lot of things that I've read that I haven't really enjoyed and haven't really stuck with me. So maybe it's time to kind of readjust and reprioritize. So we are going to first start with my Storygraph. I'm going to put like little pictures up here. We look at my Storygraph chart. So my standard goals for my Storygraph, my 2024 reading goal was to read 100 books. I've read 30 so far, so I'm completely on track. This is my first year that I am tracking, like actively tracking page numbers and audiobooks, because I didn't know last year that this was a feature on Storygraph. So this is my first year that I'm tracking. So my page goal is 10,000 pages, and I am ahead right now. I'm 42% of the way done. And I finished my audiobook goal within like the first month of 2024 because I only put 50 hours. Well, the thing that this doesn't account for is the fact that I listen to my audiobooks at between 1.5 and 2 times speed. So I guess it doesn't account for that, but you know how it is. So far I've listened to 148 hours worth of audiobooks, and right now it is April 14th. So my most read genre so far this year is queer, and I feel like that's pretty correct. I've been reading a lot of queer books. I've been prioritizing a lot of queer books. I read 19 queer books so far this year, and I definitely didn't like all of them. Some of them I kind of forgot that I read. After that is romance for 13 and fantasy for 12. So that sounds about right. And horror's also pretty up there at 9. So far, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, honestly. I'm looking at the format, and 57% have been audiobooks, 33% have been printed books, and 10% have been like ebooks. But I'm counting ebooks and like printed books in the same category for the purpose. My ebook consumption has gone up because I've gotten into NetGalley recently. So normally I don't like ebooks at all, but you know, for those early queer releases, I'll do anything. And it looks like the only repeat author I've read so far this year is Katie Robert, which I'm dumb because I didn't realize that I read Hunt on Dark Waters this year, but apparently I did. And my average rating has been a 3.88. So we're gonna go through and I'm gonna give you my favorite and my least favorite for each month. Honestly, just because I'm kind of curious as to what I was even reading like in January, because I don't remember what I was reading in January off the top of my head. I read 9 books in January and I had 4 5 stars, which was White Horse by Erica T. Worth. Loved it. A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. Freedom is a Constant Struggle by Angela Davis, and Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse. My books that I read in descending order: Salt Houses by Hala Alan, which was gorgeous. I gave it a 4.5. The Fae Keeper by H.E. Edgman. Then we had Hunt on Dark Waters by Katie Robert. Then we had Midnight Ruin by Katie Robert. And then we had Gilded Joyce, The Bones of the Holy by Jennifer Allison. That one was only a 2-star. So it's a really hard comparison for me. But I think that I'm going to say Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse was my favorite of January. My least favorite was obviously Gilda Joyce, The Bones of the Holy. I had some issues with that based on how she discussed like indigenous populations in that book. I did a whole Nostalgia Reads video on the Gilda Joyce series because it was one of my favorites as a kid and I wanted to finish it out. February, I only read 6 books. I only had 2 5-stars. It was Outdrawn by Deanna Gray and How to Marry a Lich by Lizzie Strong. Oh, there was a 7th book in here. I DNF'd it, and it was Can't Resist Her by Kiana Alexander. I am selling my copy. I could not get through it, so I guess Can't Resist Her by Kiana Alexander is my least favorite for February. And Outdrawn is my favorite for February. I can't really compete with that. That was just so good. And for March, I read 12 books because March was the Trans Rights Readathon. So March was good. I had 3 5-stars for the month of March, but I also had a lot of low stars. I had a 2-star, I had a 2.5 star, I had a 1.5 star, I had another 2-star. So there were highs, but there were also lows. So my 5 stars were The Woods All Black by Lee Mandello, The Spirit Bears Its Teeth by Andrew Joseph White, and Pet by Kweke Emezi. I'm going to give it to The Spirit Bears Its Teeth by Andrew Joseph White. I was obsessed with that one. It was so good. I loved it so much. My least favorite and the lowest rated was Ghost Eaters by Clay McLeod Chapman. I gave it a 1.5 stars. I hated this. Oh, it was bad. It was so bad. Like, I shouldn't have. And I mean, I guess we can talk about April so far, even though April's not done. So far in April, I've only gotten through 3 books. And none of them have been 5 stars. My highest rated so far is Only and Forever by Chloe Liez, which I gave a 4.5. But so far, it's been a really good month for reading, even though I have not read enough. So that is where we are at in terms of my Storygraph. Now, if you came along with me as I revamped my reading journal this year and how I track things, you'll know that I created a whole ass Notion page. And I love my Notion page so much. Let's go through, and I want to start with my goals without an exact number, because these are just kind of general goals, kind of general things that I want to keep reminding myself about and being consciously aware of. And I want to see how I feel like I've been doing and if I need to add it or change anything. So my first one was to focus on diverse reads by BIPOC and LGBTQIA+ authors. There isn't an exact number. Be aware and conscious of your choices. So when it comes to queer books, I obviously have been doing a really good job. I mean, the majority of my reading has been queer. When it comes to BIPOC books, I don't feel like I have been doing a good enough job. And I feel this way every month. So, like, it's something that I want to be better about. So it's not even really a struggle. It's that I want to read books off of my shelves. But I find a lot of the books that are on my shelves that have not been read yet are by white authors. So what that really tells me is that I need to revamp my shelves more than anything else. And I definitely have a list of books that I could revamp my shelves with. But I do be so broke right now. I do not have book spending money because I have animals that need care. So, but that's a me problem. It's something that I can definitely kind of work with and work around. So, have I been doing the best at it? No. Have I been doing the worst? No. I haven't been doing the worst, but I could definitely be doing more and doing better. And then the next one is to keep track of all books bought to not go crazy budget-wise. You know, that's been going really well because I haven't been buying any, like, at all. I had, like, one bigger order from Pango Books like back in late January, early February. And that got lost in the mail and I got a refund for it. So honestly, like, I have purchased less than 5 books this year. Next goal is to buy books secondhand when possible. I mean, I've been doing oh wait, I did pick up some I got some books for my birthday. I got like 2 books for my birthday. It was God Killer and Safe and Sound by the Trans Handyman. So I think I've probably bought 3 books this year. Buy secondhand when possible. Let's look at my Pango. Because, okay, so the thing when it comes to buying secondhand, I purchase exclusively off Pango Books because I'm not really near any good used bookstores. And it's just something that's a little bit hard for me. So I find Pango Books to be much easier in the long run. Okay, so I have purchased 3 books off Pango Books so far this year. So I guess I have purchased like 5 or 6 books this year. So I guess I have not been keeping good track of what I've been buying. So I've failed that goal already. Wow, I need to get back on track. I bought a copy of All the White Spaces by Allie Wilkes, which was a favorite of last year. I bought White Horse by Erica T. Worth because I loved it so much. And then I bought Can't Resist Her by Kiana Alexander, which I DNF'd and will be selling again, which is fine. My last goal that cannot be like tracked without a number is to consistently refer back to my most anticipated of 2024, which I feel like I have been doing okay at. What is hard about that goal is that there are things that I want to be reading, but the budget is not there for the brand new books, and they're not at my libraries yet. So it's a little bit of a struggle bus, but we're getting through it. I'm still referring back to it. I just need to be doing it a little bit more, which is okay. Like maybe do like a weekly check-in with my reading logs. I really should be doing like a weekly check-in with my reading logs. So, and then reading goals that have numbers. So again, we've got my read 100 books. I'm 30% of the way through that. Read from my shelves, which was the 24 books in 2024 reading goal for me to get through some of the books that are on my shelves. Guess how many I have picked up so far this year? 0. 0. Not a 1. Not a single one. Out of 24 books, I have not picked up a 1. So I'm failing at that so far. I'm failing so hard at that, and I wish I was doing better, but I'm not. Read 40 fantasy books. I am doing pretty well at that one so far. So far I've read like 12, so I'm a pretty good chunk of the way through. I feel pretty confident with that one. And I don't feel like I'm rushing it too much either, which I feel like is important when it comes to fantasy for me. And then do at least 5 novel breakdowns. I have not done a single one yet, but I kind of don't have a book that I feel like I am inspired to do one with. Like, in the back of my mind, I still have Light from Uncommon Stars by Rika Aoki that I really want to do that with, but I don't really feel emotionally prepared enough to pick up that book for a reread right now. Maybe I'll feel a little bit more emotionally prepared once I get out of this brain slump, but for right now, I'm not feeling it. So I still have plenty of time to do and complete that goal, but I definitely need to get started on it. But I want to do it on books that I feel inspired to do it with, that I really admire the writer, and there is a specific aspect of their writing that I want to take away and study. It just feels like a really big commitment. And then for my final goal, it is read 10 indie published books. My whole thing was that I got really into indie publishing last year, towards the end of the year, and now I really want to continue doing that and continue like hyping up my indie authors. So far I am 40% complete with that goal. I read Deceived by the Gargoyles, How to Marry a Lich, Outdrawn, Providence Girls, and Yours Insatiably. Actually, I'm 50% of the way through. So that feels really good, at least. So when it comes to my quarterly check-in, I have gained more books than I thought I had. I have actually had a better reading year than I thought I had. I think the beginning of March and like the end of February really kind of tainted it in my brain. So I want to go back to January and remember, like, oh, you had fun, like, reading was good. And I just feel that this is the time to say that I resonate with all of my goals still. I still think that they are good and functional for me. I think if we were to get a little bit more specific about things, I really want to be cautious of how I am diversifying my reading for the BIPOC community. I feel like lumping the BIPOC community as a whole together kind of feels like a little bit of a cop-out in a couple ways for me specifically. I'm not here to police your reading or to say like how you should be reading, but I'm just talking about my reading. And I think lumping them all together for me is a little bit of a cop-out for me, and it kind of leaves space for me to read a lot from one group and like nothing from another group. So I want to make sure that while I say I'm reading diversely, I'm also reading diversely throughout the BIPOC community. So that is something that feels really important to me, especially because May is the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So I really want to make sure that I'm like not just leaning towards one group of people in the BIPOC community, because all of their voices matter and I want the experience of reading from different groups. That's something that's really important to me, and I feel like I've done a lot of like reading, like a lot of my diverse and BIPOC reading so far this year has been from Indigenous authors, which is not a bad thing. That's something that I want to do. That's something that is valuable and important to me, to like push forward Indigenous voices, but I also want to be reading from other groups. So what that really means is that I need to pick up some of the BIPOC books that I have on my list to be picking up, and I don't know why I'm not picking them up right now. Because I'm a chaotic monster. Because I'm just not... I'm going into the spiral that I did last year of like, okay, I'm prioritizing for ease of access and not what I really want to be reading, which is so hard because that's something that I really, really didn't want to do this year. Like, why did I read Ghost Eaters? I wasn't even actually really interested in it. Why did I read it? Or like, I read Craven Manor by Darcy Coates, which it was actually okay. It was like a 3.5 stars. It was like a mediocre horror, but like, that's not what I want to be reading. So why am I reading these things? Why am I doing this to myself? Why am I self-sabotaging? The cat's looking at me like, bitch, what is wrong with you? And the problem is that I am a self-sabotager of my own goals, wants, and needs. So I guess I need to add that to the list of goals for 2024, is to stop self-sabotaging my reading. Because I am. And this is what happens when you analyze yourself a quarter of the way through the year. Instead of me having this conversation with myself at the end of this year and being really upset and disappointed with myself, I can now have this conversation with myself and y'all right now in the beginning of the year, and I still have time to analyze it and change my actions moving forward. So that's what we're gonna do. And I'm frustrated with myself, but it's fine. You know what? It's fine. This is exactly why I should plan out my reading in advance. Because this is what happens when I don't. I'm just like, oh god, I need to read something, and then I grab whatever is there. So, learn from me and my mistakes yet again. Because I just keep going back into old habits. And you don't want to be doing that. So now that we have analyzed my reading and my own issues, tell me how your reading is going this year. Are you happy with how you're doing with your goals so far? Do any of your goals not fit for you anymore? Because I feel super lucky that none of my goals like need to be thrown out in the trash for me this year. They're all still functional and worthy goals for me, but I know some people are just like, oh, that one doesn't really align with me very much anymore, and that's totally valid. So tell me about your reading. I hope that everyone is having a fantastic day, and stick around for next week where I do a sapphic story breakdown for Crier's War.